Welcome back to the show, everyone.
Thanks for joining us today.
All right, so if you're an Indian student and you're dreaming about getting that medical degree abroad in 2025, you've probably got a pretty big decision to make. Two countries are popping up on the radar more and more, Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan. In this explainer, we're going to dig into all the latest info to give you a really clear side-by-side comparison. So let's just jump right in. The big question is, Kazakhstan or Uzbekistan? Which one is the right move for you? By the time we're done here, you'll have all the key facts you need to make a really smart choice. Okay, so here's how we're going to tackle this. We'll look at the big decision itself, what you need to qualify, the all-important budget, what it's actually like to be a student there, and then the final hurdle. And let's be real for a second. You're not just picking a university, right? You're picking your home, your entire life, for the next 6 years. It's a huge commitment, so let's make sure we get all the facts straight. Okay. First things first, let's start with the basics, the absolute non-negotiables. What are the things you have to have in place to even get started? And you know, the good news here is that the starting line is pretty much the same for both countries. You got to be at least 17, have your physics, chemistry, bio, and English sorted in 12th grade with at least 50%. And, of course, you need to have qualified for NEET. So, yeah, it's a nice level playing field to start from. Okay, but here's where things start to get a little more interesting. We need to talk about the FMGE regulations. These are the rules India's National Medical Commission put out in 2021, and they're absolutely critical. Look, if the program you choose doesn't tick all these boxes, you literally won't be able to practice medicine back in India. It's that serious. So the big question is, how do these two countries handle it? And this is super interesting because they take two totally different routes to get to the same place. So in Kazakhstan, it's a 5-year course, then you do a 1-year internship. After that, you pass a local licensing exam in English. Simple, step by step. Uzbekistan, on the other hand, rolls it all into one. It's a 6-year program, and your degree actually comes with a registration number that is your license. Both ways work, both are valid, but it's just a completely different setup. All right, let's talk about the thing that's on everyone's mind. The money, the budget. And we're not just going to scratch the surface with tuition fees. No, we're going to get into the real cost over those 6 years. Because if you really want to know what you're in for, you've got to think about 5 things. The main tuition and hostel fees, of course, but also the consultancy and visa fees you pay in India, those one-time charges when you get to the university, your food, and yeah, just your day-to-day personal spending. And speaking of food, check this out. This one little choice can have a massive impact on your budget. If you stick with the Indian mass for the whole time, you're looking at about 1 lakh per year. But if you decide to start cooking for yourself after that first year, you could seriously slash that cost. We're talking huge savings here. So when you add it all up, what's the damage? Well, for most universities, the total 6-year budget for both countries is actually pretty similar, somewhere in that 30 to 35 lakh range. The big but here is Kazakhstan. If you've got your heart set on one of their absolute top-tier, famous universities, then yeah, you should be ready for a bigger number, maybe closer to 40 or even 45 lakhs. Okay, money and rules, check. But that's not the whole story, is it? What's it actually like to live and study there? Let's dive into the day-to-day student experience. First off, the weather. And wow, this is a big one. Kazakhstan gets really cold. We're talking harsh, freezing winters that can last for 5, even 6 months. Uzbekistan, though, is much more familiar for someone from India. You get those hot summers, kind of like home, and the winters are milder. And think about it. This isn't just about packing a warmer jacket. A similar climate can mean seeing similar types of patient cases, which is a huge plus for your practical training. Now, one thing you probably don't have to worry too much about is safety. Both countries are known to be really safe for international students, and you won't be alone. There are huge communities of Indian students in both places. We're talking 10,000 to 15,000 students each, so you'll have a solid network from day one. Okay, this next point is a really, really big deal. Practical training, the hands-on stuff. And based on what students are saying, Uzbekistan is the clear winner here, hands down. In Kazakhstan, it seems like it can be a bit hit or miss depending on your university, but students in Uzbekistan, they consistently say their practical exposure is just excellent. What about all the boring paperwork? You know, the visa stuff. Well, it seems Kazakhstan has the upper hand here. Getting your first visa for either country is pretty simple, but when it comes to renewing it every single year, well, the process in Kazakhstan is apparently way smoother and less of a headache than it is in Uzbekistan. So we've talked about getting in, how much it costs, what life is like, but it all leads to this, the final hurdle, the big one, the Foreign Medical Graduate Examination, or FMG. This is the test that decides if you get to come back and practice medicine in India. And if we look at the 2024 results, whoa, the numbers are pretty shocking at first glance. Kazakhstan had an overall pass rate of about 25%, and Uzbekistan, a massive 48%. But hold on. Before you make up your mind based on that, you have to understand that these numbers need some serious context. And here it is. This is the key. In 2024, more than 5,000 students from Kazakhstan took that exam. It's a huge established group. From Uzbekistan, only 490 students. It's a much, much smaller and newer group of students. You absolutely have to keep that massive difference in numbers in mind when you look at those percentages. And this really proves that it's not just about the country, it's about the university. Take Al-Farabi in Kazakhstan. Their pass rate was over 51%. That's amazing. And in Uzbekistan, that awesome 48% number was driven by Bukhara State Medical Institute. So yeah, the specific university you choose can make all the difference. Okay, so let's put it all on the table for a final showdown. Kazakhstan's strengths, a really clear-cut licensing process, and a much easier yearly visa situation. Uzbekistan's strengths, a climate that feels more like home, and, this is the big one, that top-notch practical training. That training might be exactly why we're seeing those high initial FMGE scores. The budget's about the same for most places, but just remember, those great results from Uzbekistan are from a pretty small group so far. So at the end of the day, it all comes back to you, and one simple question. What's your top priority? Are you all about getting the best possible hands-on clinical experience, or does having a simple, stress-free visa process sound better? Is a familiar climate a deal breaker for you, or are you aiming for a specific high-ranking university, even if it means a bigger budget? Only you can decide what matters most for your incredible 6-year medical journey.
Want to know the secret to getting into a top MBBS university abroad without breaking the bank? Just type MBBS abroad or study abroad and send us a WhatsApp message right now. Get a free consultation call with our study abroad experts and discover lowest fee universities, NMC-approved colleges, complete admission process free. Don't let confusion hold you back. Message MBBS abroad today and start your medical journey. Link in description. Hurry, limited slots available.